Namaskar. I'm Manoshi Chatterjee on behalf of the board and members of the Raag-Mala Music Society of Toronto. Welcome you all to a very special program organized as part of the ongoing celebration of the 75th anniversary of India's independence. This event is a collaborative effort between Raag-Mala and the Indian Consulate in Toronto. It is my honor to host this event where I will be conversing with the Toronto-based renowned Indian classical vocalist Sri Narendra Datar and his disciple Samidha Joglekar. Before we begin the conversation, we have a message from the Indian Consulate in Toronto.
Namaskar, I am Apurva Srivastav, Consul General of India in Toronto. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Raag-Mala and this unique program which they have put together today in association with the Consulate. Raag-Mala has been promoting Raag Sangeet for over 40 years in Canada and has presented over 200 programs including concerts and lecture demonstrations. As India celebrates its 75th year of independence or Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the Consulate has been organizing several events promoting the rich culture and heritage of India. Such a collaboration with Raag-Mala is what is being presented today. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the entire team of Raag-Mala for putting together this presentation on the unique Guru-Shishya relationship of Indian classical music. I hope you all enjoy the presentation today. Thank you. Namaskar.
Please welcome Narendra Datar and Samidha. Namaskar, Narendraji. Namaskar, Samidha. Professionally an engineer, Narendraji is a music teacher and a performer who has resided in Toronto for more than 35 years now. He has many accolades to his name. Samidha is his worthy disciple who has been learning from Narendraji for many years now and is known for her Indian classical music and cross-cultural performances. Welcome, Samidha. Welcome, Narendraji.
Thank you.
So, Samidha, I will start with you. How did your musical journey begin? When did you meet your Guruji?
Well, yeah, my musical journey began from a very young age, actually. As a toddler, I loved to sing, I loved music. I had a love for music that sort of came from within. And my parents recognized this and always really encouraged me to sing at home. So there's a joke that my family makes is that when I find a piece of music I really love, I listen to it over and over and over again. I play it over and over again. And the movie, The Sound of Music, I think I must have watched that at least 100 times. So I had this love for music that was inside me, and particularly singing. But I didn't have any music in my family per se, in the sense that I didn't have any family members who had professionally pursued music or who had learned Indian classical music or who were performing artists. So it didn't really... that wasn't a part of my journey from the beginning, but my parents came from India. They immigrated to Canada. I was born here, and when I was around 4 years old, they came to a town called Guelph, Ontario, which is about an hour from Toronto, and I was expressing to my parents that I loved to sing, I wanted to sing, so my parents put me in the Royal Conservatory of Music voice lessons there. So that's really where the training began. My voice training began at the age of 8 in the Royal Conservatory. And then how I met Narendra Kaka was my parents used to come frequently to Toronto to attend cultural events through the Maharashtrian community here. And one weekend they brought me to Toronto, and there was a young boy, he was about 12 years old at that time, and he was Narendra Kaka's student, and he was presenting a recital of some Chota Khyals and Marathi songs, some Geet Ramayan. And I heard him sing, and I thought, wow, he's like me. He's growing up here. He's learning from Narendra Kaka, and he's singing all of these songs that I find very interesting. And I want to sing like that. So that's when my parents approached Narendra Kaka and asked if he would teach me, and I started to learn from him when I was about 10.
And I see that you call Narendraji Narendra Kaka.
Yeah.
So, which means you must be really young when you met him. And why do you call him Narendra Kaka?
Yeah, that's right. The term Kaka in Marathi is it's how we refer to a paternal uncle. Right. So all of our close family, friends, acquaintances, we refer to them as Kaka, or Kaku is like aunt, right? So
oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Actually, I think Narendra Kaka, you have sort of a story about that.
Yes, I do have a very interesting anecdote. When Samidha started learning from me for the first couple lessons, if she wanted to talk to me or she wanted to get my attention, she would just do, and then I would look at her. Eventually, after 2 lessons, she asked me, what should I call you instead of me doing to get your attention? So that's when I told her, you can call me Narendra Kaka. So
right.
Very, very cute and very interesting.
So, Narendraji, you grew up in India. You were born in India, you grew up in India. So, how did your musical journey begin?
Yeah, I was born in a musically inclined and musical performing family. My father used to perform Geet Ramayan, which is very well known and popular at that time. So he did close to 300 concerts. So there would be constant music practices at home. People, the harmonium accompanist and tabla accompanist would come home and they would practice, and I would be glued to the tabla, and the tabla, I would sit next to him and try and absorb, and I was extremely attracted to that. So that's where the whole thing started. I initially started to pick up tabla just by listening and trying to match the sound that it produced. Uh, in my grade 8, which is I was 13 that time, we discovered that I can sing too. So because it never dawned on anybody that I could sing. So I started singing, and my parents were surprised that I could sing well that time. So, and that's how it all started.
So, when did you come to Canada?
I came to Canada in September 1984 to pursue my master's in computer science at University of New Brunswick, Fredericton.
Okay. And you are a teacher here, very popular music teacher in Toronto. And of course, you're a performer. Your performances, I have seen some of them, and they are just amazing. So, why did you, what made you think that you can teach Indian classical music to students here? And you know how students here are Canadians. So, how did that occur to you?
Yeah, it's very again a very interesting anecdote. Art Levine, you may have known about him. He met me, and he said he would like to learn from me. And that time I had never thought of teaching anybody, because I said I'm still learning. So but he was persistent. He said no, you have to teach me. And then I very reluctantly started teaching him. And then very quickly I realized that this is an excellent opportunity, not only to share my knowledge, but also to keep in touch with what I know. Because when I teach, I'm also learning at that same time. Plus, all those things are getting revised in my mind, and so that's how the whole thing got started. And then, of course, the word went around.
You were a shishya in India. Did you ever teach in India?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I never even thought that I would teach music while I was in India.
Right.
Only after coming to Canada and by accident, as I.
So,
mentioned.
who was your guru in India? Who did
Pandit
you learn from?
Vasantrao Kulkarni
Oh, okay.
of
Yes.
Agra Gharana. He was my teacher.
Right.
He came from a very illustrious lineage of music composers and teachers. Jagannath Bua Purohit was his immediate teacher, who was very well known as Gunidas, and so Agra Gharana lineage, very important lineage of musical traditions in India.
Right. But did you go as a like a guru shishya parampara? Did you stay with him in India, or you used to go like when we go for an hour or two to learn? Or
Right.
how
Yeah.
that worked?
The times had changed already when I started learning. I would go to him twice a week for 1 hour lesson
Okay.
because I was also studying that time in college. So that worked out okay for me that time. So
Okay. Yeah. So how do you find it different now that you are teaching here,
Right.
and the way you got your lessons from your Guruji in India, your approach of teaching? I don't know how it started. Like, how did you start it here? Was it the same, or did you change your approach as you went along?
yes, absolutely. I mean, I had absolutely no background in teaching anything,
Right.
leave alone music. But when I came here, I sort of I was trying to teach the way I was taught in the
Right,
beginning.
right.
But then very quickly I realized that the cultural differences plus the societal differences between Indian atmosphere and Canadian atmosphere is very different. So I sort of kept tweaking how I was sharing my knowledge. So I would experiment with how I'm teaching, and eventually I think as I kept tweaking, even now I know every student is different. So I have to keep
right.
sort of finding one good way to impart my knowledge, to share my knowledge. So it definitely was very different. For example, when I would learn from my teacher, he would debar me from even writing down the lyrics. Forget about recording.
Seriously.
But when I came here, I very quickly realized that because they don't have the atmosphere here, I would have to record or let them record the lesson. I have to write the lyrics for them. Very quickly, I realized that I cannot use my running English, so I have to write everything in caps. So because there's lesser confusion. So all these, I mean, I still remember the first time I had to write a song in English. I scratched my head. How do I write this? Because I never had to do that because I would write in Devanagari.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of learning as I sort of taught.
सुन पावे मोरी सास
to hear all these experiences. Samidha, you grew up here,
Yeah.
and Indian classical music. Well, learning in Canada from a guru. What were your challenges?
Yeah.
Were there any? Like,
Yeah, Narendra Kaka has sort of mentioned a couple of the challenges. You're trying to learn this art form in an environment that is not really reinforcing it. So that was a bit of a challenge because, as Narendra Kaka explained, or he and I were discussing it, he would be with his guru, Pandit Vasantrao Kulkarni, in an environment with other students in India. And then he would leave his guru's house. But in India, it's like there are baithaks, there are concerts, it's on the radio, it's on TV. All the cultural references are surrounding you. So it's learning the art form in that environment where you're immersed, it's reinforced, right? Whereas in a Canadian environment, I had at home, I was very lucky because even though my parents are, my family is full of healthcare professionals. My parents are medical doctors. They wanted to continue practicing medicine in Canada. So that was a big part of their life here. But they played a lot of music at home. They love music, you know, so a lot of Marathi songs, Raag Sangeet, Bhavgeet, and classical music too. So I had that at home. But when I left my house, the culture that surrounded me was so completely different, right? And there was nothing really in that culture that was sort of supporting my study of Indian classical music. So that was a challenge, studying it in Canada.
so are you also trained in Western classical music? And do you think if it has helped you with learning Indian classical music or vice versa?
I think it definitely has helped.
So you are trained in...
The first music lessons that they were able to put me in were the Royal Conservatory of Music. So I started that when I was 8, and then I started learning from Narendra Kaka when I was around 10. So there was about a 6-year overlap where I was learning at the Royal Conservatory and learning from Narendra Kaka. So 2 different styles. And in the training that I received at the Royal Conservatory, there was a lot of emphasis on breathing technique, like you stand when you sing. I guess what's called Western classical music, you typically stand up. There's a lot of training on breathing from the diaphragm. The way that the voice is produced and modulated is quite different. And I actually remember that I once came for my lesson with Narendra Kaka, maybe I was around 12 or 13, and I had a vibrato in my voice. You know, in Western music, if you sing a note and there's sort of a vibration that is encouraged. Where are you going today? Where are you going today? Like that vibration. It's very encouraged in Western music, but Narendra Kaka was hearing that in my Indian classical singing. And so I had to think about that and sort of take that out of what I was singing. So that was a bit of an interesting exercise.
Very interesting. Did you have any chance of learning music from somebody else other than Narendraji?
Yes, Narendra Kaka encouraged me actually to apply for scholarships and to go to India. It was important for me, and he also felt it was important for me to have that experience of learning in India.
Right.
So I was lucky to win a couple of scholarships, and I went after high school, I went and I had the very fortunate opportunity to learn from the late Vidushi Veena Sasrabudhe. So I studied with her for around 4 months. And then after my bachelor's degree at university, I went again and had the amazing opportunity to get some guidance from Vidushi Dr. Prabha Atre, who taught me. So those were amazing experiences as well. Very rich, very packed with information. Only now am I beginning to understand some of the things that these two amazing gurus taught me.
Wow, amazing. And Narendraji, what is your, changing the topic a little bit, what is your favorite raga? And which raga do you teach? Do you teach that raga to your students? And
Yes. The most favorite rag is Rag Yaman, which is probably the most utilized and most performed melody, and I definitely teach that to my students. Basically, for most of my students, I follow the Gandharva Mahavidyalaya stream of musical system,
syllabus,
which basically starts with the Rag Bhoop, and so it goes on, and then the last rag in the first book is Yaman. But so I sort of take the approach that they have recommended in their books.
Samidha when she was a child, and now, because I know that Samidha is still your shishya, and she comes to you even now, and all along she has never left learning from you, right? So what is the difference you see? And now that she's an accomplished singer, and then what is the difference, the approach, your approach, her accepting the lessons, how has it changed?
Right, that's an excellent question. So in the beginning, I wasn't sure how receptive she would be to, and what is the sort of rate at which I should be giving it, and what complexity I should be giving it. So I basically started at a very simple level, and very quickly I realized that she was able to absorb extremely fast. So she was able to proceed and progress at a very, very fast rate. as we progressed, I realized that she's an extremely gifted musician, and I was able to work with her. I encouraged her to participate in some of the concerts that I did. So I had her prepare some songs and present them. So many concerts I had her, participate with me, and people used to love listening to her singing, and especially being born and brought up here. It was an absolutely wonderful thing to see somebody singing that well.
Now, this is a question to both of you actually, because you are also professional. You are professional, not full-time musicians, right?
Correct.
But how do you maintain that standard, the performance standard? Like, I have attended your concerts, amazing. So do you rehearse every day? How do you do this? And where do you get time? How do you get time in this such a busy lifestyle here in Canada?
Right. Yeah. So it's challenging, but I've made it into a discipline that at least half an hour to 1 hour of my own riyaz in the morning, if possible. If not, somewhere during my waking period. Plus, whenever I teach, that's a time that I'm thinking about music. So I think it's more important to not let music leave your thoughts. कैसे कैसे जाऊं कैसे 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 जाऊं पिया नहीं आए डर लागत है पिया नहीं आए डर लागत है कैसे 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 जाऊं कैसे 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 जाऊं
I mean, how beautifully you have said this, that music should not leave your thoughts.
Correct.
That's beautiful, beautiful. Samidha, what about you? You are a professional too, and working in a different stream, not really music is not your full time.
That's true, yeah. This is actually a topic that I discuss a lot with Narendra Kaka as my guru, because there's nothing like riyaz and practice. And I mean, I feel like I'll be a student forever. You know, there's never no end to this. And when I was very young, doing riyaz was actually, I was very motivated to do it because I really enjoyed my lessons. The material that Narendra Kaka would give me, I would really want to learn it exactly the way he taught me. I kind of saw that as a challenge, and I wanted to meet that challenge. So I was very motivated. As I got older, you know, into my teens, into my 20s, there's different things that are happening in your life, and it's harder sometimes to keep the riyaz going. But I've actually reached a point where if I'm not doing riyaz, I feel it. Like I feel it almost emotionally, like there's something missing. And during the pandemic, actually, I would call Narendra Kaka when we weren't meeting, and I would say, it really doesn't feel right. Like there's something that just doesn't feel right, that I'm not coming for my lessons, I'm not doing as much riyaz. So I think at this point, I have that internal feeling of a connection to the music, and I want to keep it going. So I try as much as I can to do as much riyaz. I could always do more. I know I don't do enough. I need to do more. But that internal motivation is what's keeping it there. Sa ga sa ma sa pa sa ni sa ni sa ni sa ni ni sa pa pa sa ni sa pa pa ni sa pa pa ni sa ma pa ni ga ma pa ga sa ga ga ma pa pa ni sa ga sa ni pa ma ga ni ga sa de na ya
currently, what are you teaching, Samidha?
So
You
we
started with Yemen.
yes, of course. No. Very recently, I started teaching Samidha Raag Jokans,
Jog.
Raag Jokans, which is a composition of my guru's guru, and we will start with very brief alaps in notation, and then we will move over to learning a bandish that I haven't taught you yet. That's something that we will do now. Dhani sag sani dha.
Dhani saga sani dha.
Dhani madani dha sa.
Dhani madhani da sa.
Ni sa ni ga sa ga.
Ni sa ni ga sa ga.
Gam gam sa ga sa.
Ga ma sa ga sa.
Dhani sa ma ga.
Dhani sa ma ga.
Dha sa ma ga ni sa ma ga.
Dha sa ma ga ni sa.
Dha sa ma ga ni sa ma ga.
Dha sa ma ga ni sa ma ga.
Gama gama pa ma.
Gama gama pa ma.
Ma ba gama dha.
Ma pa ga ma dha.
Dhani da pa dhani da ma.
Dhani dha pa dhani dha ma.
Ma pa ga ma ga ma sa ga sa.
Ma ma pa ga ma ga ma sa ga sa.
Right. Okay, so let's then see if we can work on this teen tal bandish. Pira parai.
Pira parai.
Pira parai.
Pira parai.
जाने नहीं बालमवा.
जाने नहीं बालमवा.
जाने नहीं बालमवा हो पीर परा.
जाने नहीं बालमवा. ओ पीर पराय.
जाने नहीं बालमवा.
जाने नहीं बालमवा.
ओ पीर परा.
बालमवा. बालम
बालमवा.
बालमवा. ओ पीर पराय.
Let's look at the antara. Prana piya tum.
प्राण पिया तुम.
ऐसो निठुर भये.
ऐसो
की सारी आस गवाई.
गुणीदास की सारी आस गवाई.
पीर
परा
पराई.
पीर पराई.
Right.
Beautiful. I can see that how the scales are different. I think Samidha sings at a different scale and you do. And when you
Yes.
teach, she was doing that little change there. That's amazing
Right,
to
yeah.
see.
So
Yeah.
it's a very challenging thing because, as you rightfully said, males sing at a lower scale and females sing at a half an octave higher. So, but she adapts a little bit, and after she finishes learning, we change it over to her scale.
scale,
Thanks to the electronic tanpura now, it's few clicks and we are at her pitch, and then she sings it back at that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and having this conversation. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And with this, we come to the end of this very special program. Thanks for being with us and a very, very happy 75th anniversary of Indian independence. Namaskar.
Dari